Buffets are designed to look like endless choices of safe, tasty food. But here's the shocking truth. Some of the most common buffet staples are practically petri dishes waiting for you. Between bacteria growth, cross-contamination, and poor temperature control, you may be taking bigger risks than you think. Today, we're exposing 10 foods that seem perfectly normal, but can actually be the worst choices you could make on that line. Once you see the evidence, you'll understand why skipping that scoop is safer than picking it up. Number 1. Sushi that waits too long. Sushi tricks you with its clean look. Perfect little rolls, colorful toppings, and that sense of fresh and healthy. It feels like one of the smarter choices at a buffet table. But raw fish is fragile. It only stays safe when it's ice cold, and the second it warms, bacteria start multiplying fast. In a busy restaurant where sushi is rolled and served within minutes, you're already taking on some risk. At a buffet, trays often sit there for hours and turnover is slow. By the time you grab a piece, you may be looking at raw protein that hasn't been properly chilled in ages. Here's the truth. Food safety rules are strict for a reason. Fish that rests too long in this kind of setup isn't just unappetizing, it becomes a perfect incubator. The eye test can't save you. Those shiny rolls may look fine, but they can hold harmful microbes with no warning sign in taste or smell. Bottom line, if you want sushi, stick to places that roll it fresh to order. And now let's talk about another seafood favorite that carries even bigger risks. Number 2, raw oysters and shellfish. Double trouble. Oysters on ice look like the crown jewel of any buffet spread. They send a clear message of luxury and freshness, sitting there in open trays, glistening under the lights. To many people, they feel like the ultimate score on a buffet plate. But here's the truth. Raw shellfish is one of the riskiest foods you can touch. Oysters, clams, and similar choices can carry Vibrio bacteria among other dangerous pathogens. These organisms live naturally in coastal waters, and eating them raw gives them a straight path into your body. When conditions slip for even a short time, the risk level goes from controlled to hazardous. Now think about the buffet setup. Ice melts, the seafood warms, and what started at a safe chill turns into a lukewarm pool where bacteria thrive. Unlike steak or chicken, shellfish spoils faster and without clear warning signs. You usually can't smell or taste when it's gone bad. And here's the kicker, one single oyster is enough to sicken you. In the high-volume, low-attention environment of buffets, that gamble becomes far harder to win safely. Number 3, potato salad, hidden heat trap. Potato salad is an appealing dish since it appears to be both safe and uncomplicated. Served alongside heavier foods, it is cold and creamy and feels like the light option that you can rely on. That is the illusion that is being presented. When the temperature drops, the combination of cooked potatoes and mayonnaise becomes extremely unstable. Potatoes are excellent at retaining moisture, and mayonnaise is an excellent source of fat. When these two ingredients are combined, they create a damp, warm environment that is ideal for the growth of bacteria. That bowl might be left out for hours at a buffet. There are instances where a thin coating of ice forms underneath the serving dish, but it does not usually prevent the center from being warm. There is a possibility that the salad has been sitting in the danger zone for so long that it has already transformed from something that is safe to consume into something that is a hidden health risk by the time you go to scoop some out of it. The truth is that starchy foods that contain mayonnaise provide an environment that is ideal for the growth of diseases such as salmonella and listeria. The change will be imperceptible to your sense of smell and taste, but the danger will increase with each passing minute. Later on, you might find yourself bent over in pain as a result of what appears to be a common side dish. In summary, it is always a risk to consume potato salad that has not been kept at an extremely cold temperature. If you do not observe consistent chilling, you should avoid it and take precautions to prevent yourself from falling victim to that concealed trap. Number 4, soft-serve ice cream machines. The swirl of soft-serve ice cream appears to be innocuous, as if it were nothing more than a basic dessert. It is light and sweet, and it almost gives the impression that it is a safer option than getting a single piece of pie. However, the reality is that buffet soft-serve is not simply dispensed from a nozzle. It is produced by a machine that contains dozens of minute pieces that must be cleaned on a daily basis. And it is the point at which the danger starts to accumulate. Because these machines contain tubes, hoppers, and valves that keep leftover mix that never completely empties out, they are quite hard to operate. That residue serves as sustenance for bacteria. If you also consider the fact that the interior of the space remains damp and slightly warm, you will realize that it is the perfect environment for the growth of mold and microbes. The machine does more than simply dispense ice cream. It also dispenses contamination if the crew fails to follow procedures or takes shortcuts. This problem is nearly impossible to detect, which is in contrast to a dirty plate, which is evident to the naked eye. There is no flavor, no odor, and no obvious warning. Each of the cones appears to be identical, yet the apparatus itself contains all of the potential hazards. The bottom line is that soft-serve ice cream from a buffet is not necessarily the clean and safe dessert that it seems to be. It is in your best interest to grab a sealed scoop of ice cream that has been stored in a freezer and has not been touched by anyone. Number 5. Fried foods. Gone stale. Golden fried chicken wings get your attention right away. They glisten under the heat lamps and promise that hot crunch you're craving. For a brief moment, they look like comfort food done right. But fried foods don't sit well once they leave the fryer. The crust softens, the coating soaks up oil, and what started out as crisp turns into a soggy, greasy bite. Heat lamps don't fix it. They bake the food unevenly, drying out one part while the rest turns limp. The longer those wings wait, the less safe they become too. Here's the truth. Buffet fryers often use the same oil batch all day. Reused oil breaks down, giving food that burned aftertaste and creating harmful compounds. Add cross-contamination from fish, chicken, and sides sharing the same vat, and it's no longer just about flavor. It's about microbes and allergens mixing where they shouldn't. And nutritionally, fried food hits you 3 ways at once: high fat, heavy sodium, and loaded cholesterol. Bottom line, what looks crispy and inviting often delivers soggy calories plus contamination risks you can't see. Better to pass than pay later. Number 6. Mussels and clams. Spoilage on display. Mussels and clams laid out on buffet trays look upscale. They give the impression of freshness and quality, almost like a fine dining add-on in the middle of all-you-can-eat options. But in reality, they're one of the quickest foods to spoil. Shellfish like these need 2 things: constant cold or immediate cooking. Without that, they turn unsafe faster than nearly any other protein. At a buffet, the conditions rarely live up to that standard. Trays often sit at room temperature or maybe with a thin layer of cooling underneath that doesn't hold through the service. That means what you see as a glossy shell may already be harboring bacteria. Here's the truth. Once mussels or clams spoil, your senses won't warn you. They don't smell odd or taste strange right away. The sickness arrives later and it can hit hard, leading to symptoms that last far longer than a bad evening. That's what makes them a gamble. Bottom line, mussels and clams at buffets are roulette items. The only safe bet is to skip them unless you're at a trusted place where they're cooked or chilled to order. Number 7. Cut melon, a sweet but risky fruit. A tray of cut melon looks like the safest thing on the buffet. Bright cubes of cantaloupe or honeydew, chilled once upon a time, send the message of clean and refreshing. Most people think fruit is the least risky choice on the line. But here's the truth. Melons are a special case. Cantaloupe in particular is unusually prone to salmonella. On the outside, the rind is rough and full of tiny grooves where bacteria can cling. Once the knife cuts in, those microbes spread from the surface straight into the flesh. Unlike the hard shell, the fruit inside offers no barrier. Now add the buffet factor. After melon is sliced, it loses every bit of protection and bacteria can multiply quickly without ice. Fruit bowls often sit uncovered, waiting for hours, touched by serving spoons passed from hand to hand. What looks like a healthy bite has quietly become a hidden threat. Bottom line, cut melon at room temperature isn't dessert. It's a breeding ground. If you want melon, choose it whole or make sure the slices are kept cold and covered the entire time. Number 8. Scrambled eggs, powdered and forgotten. It seems as though one is certain to find a dish of scrambled eggs at the buffet. It is a product that you would anticipate to be safe because it is hot, simple to prepare, and satisfying. However, the reality is that many of the things that appear to be fresh and easy are actually produced from powdered mix rather than cracked eggs. When it is left uncovered for hours, the issues will only continue to grow. This may not be a concern for you at first, but it will become one eventually. Those eggs disintegrate quite quickly. Steam trays are unable to maintain texture. They cause eggs that are fluffy to become flavorless, watery, and rubbery in their consistency. In addition to that, nutrients decrease in quantity as time goes on. In the end, the decent supply of protein that they started with is all but gone, and they are left with something that is more filler than sustenance. With each minute that the tray remains there, the quality of the food degrades. So you're actually receiving less value for your money than you believe you are when you are fueling up. And here's the kicker. Eggs are among the items that are most easily used by bacteria as a host. The moist surface of the steam bath creates a breeding ground for bacteria. When the temperature of the steam bath is not maintained at a sufficiently high level, the danger zone is the temperature range that is warm but not boiling, and buffet eggs frequently fall into this category. The bottom line is that scrambled eggs that have been left to sit on the line for too long and look like they have been neglected are not comfort food. These are dangers that are best left behind because they contain a great deal of bacteria and very little nourishment. Number 9, salad bar dressings. When you load up on greens and then pour dressing on top, you believe that you are playing it safe. Particularly in comparison to the heavier side dishes, it gives the impression of being the most nutritious option on the buffet. However, the dressing station is the location where concealed issues can quickly accumulate. Flavor is not the only thing that dressings made with cream have to offer. In a matter of seconds, your healthy decision can be transformed into junk food land because they are packed with sodium, sugar, and chemicals. The benefits of the salad that lies beneath it can be completely negated by what seems to be a light choice. And then there is the ladle to consider. Each and every visitor makes use of the same spoon repeatedly and continuously. The handles are passed from one person to another, which results in the spread of whatever was on their hands at the time. After then, the ladle is used to scoop out more dressing, and it carries contamination with it when it drops back into the dressing. Those vats are touched hundreds of times before the conclusion of a service period, yet they are never reset. The most significant threat is that a large number of dressings are left out of refrigeration, where they get thick and creamy, while germs proliferate in the base of the dressing. In the end, that dollop ends up having a detrimental effect on both your health and your safety. To put it simply, you should avoid using ranch or blue cheese. Make sure you just use oil and vinegar that you are able to control. Number 10. Soup and gravy in unsafe vats.
A large bowl filled with soup or gravy appears to be the very definition of comfort. The clinking of ladles and the rising of steam create a feeling of safety and comfort. That is a superficial overview of the situation. The tale may be quite different when you look beneath the surface. Here is the truth. When these vats are not kept hot enough, they enter the danger zone, which is the temperature range in which bacteria multiply at a rapid rate. The top still appears to be warm and inviting, so it is not immediately apparent to you that this is the case. However, the center of that vast volume cools down more slowly than you might expect, which results in the formation of concealed pockets where germs can grow. However, the hazards do not cease to exist at that point. Whenever someone uses a ladle to take a sample, they are stirring the mixture and so creating another opportunity for contamination. Soup and gravy become high traffic items in situations where people are using their hands to grasp ladle handles. Drips are falling back into the basin, and hundreds of guests are cycling through. This is because cleanliness is compromised in these situations. The most important thing to remember is that if soup or gravy is not steaming hot throughout, it is not only a major disappointment, it's also dangerous to consume. When you are eating at a buffet, make sure that you only select those dishes that are still boiling hot at the exact instant that they are placed into your bowl. Buffets are designed to give the impression of abundance with their gleaming trays, seemingly limitless variety, and the idea that customers have a lot of options without having to worry about making the right decision. However, there are safety problems that are concealed behind that spread, which you will not be able to detect until it is too late. Everyday dishes can become dangerous if the temperature drops, cross-contamination occurs, or maintenance is inadequate. In addition to exercising caution, identifying and avoiding the 10 foods that we discussed is required. It provides protection against disease, wasted calories, and the hidden costs associated with all-you-can-eat buffets. Consider it to be like protecting your plate before you even begin to eat anything. Subscribe now and stay alert, because knowing what not to eat is half the battle every time you face a buffet.